Chinna's paints, and I'm going to be, I've got a lot of clones to paint, so I thought to myself I'd try and use my airbrush just to see if it made the process a little bit easier, because I absolutely hate painting white, which is a real pain. So thought I'd give it a go, see what we could do. So I've loaded up my airbrush. It's only a really cheap one that I've bought off of Amazon. It was about like £40 I think in total. I bought it last Christmas. I've used it mostly for terrain so far. I've done some vehicles with it as well, which you can see on my Twitter profile. I did the AA5 speeder truck, and I've done the air speeders as well for Star Wars Legion. They look really good, and they came out really well, especially for like doing camo patterns and things like that. So yeah, I've loaded up the airbrush with just some Army Painter matte white, and also using some Vallejo airbrush thinner as well. So I've just put some of that into the airbrush, given it a few test goes. Apologies if the sound goes pretty poor whilst we're giving it a quick prime, but as you see, I've primed originally in grey sear, just to get a nice smooth clean prime, and now I'm just going to try and airbrush on the white, just to save me time basically painting the painting it by hand. So here we go, here we go. So I've thinned it down a fair bit. I'm just doing small bursts with the airbrush like you would do if it's if you're using a rattle can, basically, just to try and get a good reasonable coverage. So I'm spraying from a reasonable distance, trying to hit the mini at different angles as well, just to really try and get a nice coverage. And then I'm just turning a little bit here and there. It's really hard sometimes to see if it's actually coming out, but I think where the this piece of card I'm doing it on, where I've used it before, you can see that it's you can see it coming out, covering up some of the old paint. Just trying to get that back foot. Back of the helmet and pauldron. I'm just trying to turn them by using the base, just so that I don't get my fingerprints all over the wet paint. There we go, I think that's another one done. I think he's ready. So as you can see, for the difference in colour, it's quite difficult to see actually because of the lighting in here, but I don't know if you can see the difference there. It's quite a lot. Let's just try and get this back in position. I say the lights are pretty bright where I'm doing this, so it is quite difficult to see the difference. But and then you go and knock over your tripod as well, which is always fun. But yeah, so you can see it's coming out quite well actually. I'm quite impressed for a, like I say, a really cheap airbrush just off of Amazon. I think actually for sort of £40, it's actually worked really well. It seems to do the job for me anyway, so yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. That's pretty good. Right, let's take him off, put him with his brothers. So I've gone and got the Obi-Wan pack for Shatterpoint, and then I've also got obviously the clones that it comes with in the core set as well. So just wanted to really try and get the white done on these, so that it just means that I'll be able to do the black just by brush basically. So I just use a brush to do the black bits on the visors and that, and then I can do the markings separately as well. So I'm just going to finish off just nice even strokes with the primer. I just don't want to go too heavy because I don't want it to run, so it's quite wet. I have to thin it down quite a bit just so that it actually follows through through the airbrush, so otherwise it is prone to clogging, which we really don't want. So just trying to be a little bit careful with it. I don't want to obscure any of the details well, so with Shatterpoint the miniatures are really detailed, so you just want to be really careful when you're doing it. When it dries, dries, it should be a really nice smooth finish. One thing I find when I'm painting via brush is that certain paints, especially like white, can be really difficult to paint, and to get that really nice smooth clean finish. You end up with brush marks in the paint, and sometimes obviously it goes a little bit bitty as well. I know a lot of the Citadel white paints used to be renowned for doing that. So yeah, just wanted to use an airbrush, just trying to get a smoother finish basically if I can. And this one's almost done, so it's really quick. It's a lot quicker than, obviously if I was painting this by hand it would take me a lot longer. There we go, that's another clone done. He's done. Maybe do Rex next. Good old Captain Rex. Right, I've just got to check how much paint I've got left in the airbrush, so I need a refill. So just going to put some more paint in there. I'm going to try and do Obi-Wan as well, I think, because it seems to be working quite well. I was a bit, didn't know whether to do Obi-Wan or not because I didn't want to ruin him. I've got a habit of over-priming, unfortunately, which leads to me having to strip them and start again, which I did with a lot of the base set of Shatterpoint. I ended up having to strip it, redo it, which is a bit annoying. But it's because I was really excited to get it. Massive thanks again to AMG for sending me an advanced copy. It was really good to get that through. Super chuffed with that. Really made what was a bit of a crappy time really good. So thanks to them. Right, I'm just going to make sure this is flowing right. So I'm just forcing some air through the airbrush there, just to try and mix the paint a bit as well with a thinner. So I'm just going to test it. So pretty good consistency again. Let's get my arm in the way there, sorry about that. I'll just move this a little bit more. That way hopefully it's a bit more stable. The trouble with white paint is it can be really thick, so it's difficult to get it to the right consistency to be able to run it through an airbrush. But I think we're doing okay. It's starting to clog a little bit, so I think I need a bit more thinner, just to thin it down a bit more. Again, I'm just going to run some air through the airbrush just to mix it in. Let's give this a go. Hopefully that should be about right. Yeah, it seems to be coming out better now. I just want to get all the folds in his the sort of robe thing that he's wearing on the bottom half. I want to make sure I'm hitting that. His arm and pistols. AMG have done a great job of bringing these characters to life in these sculpts. I think the sculpts are really well done. Seems to be working really well. All the sculpts that I've seen so far, even like the Dooku ones that I saw today, they look really cool. Magna Guards as well, they were proper difficult to play against. Didn't particularly like them, but you never know, hopefully might even win a game of Shatterpoint at some point. I've played 2 games so far and lost both. Still learning the rules and that, and how units sort of work well together. It's a lot different to Legion, especially with the terminology. There's like wounds and damage and things like that. Which is like the same for Legion, but it means different things. So It's the same with anything really. I think it's just getting used to the different terms that people use. Right, I think Rex, I'm going to have to try and balance him a little bit because I need to get under there. So I just want to make sure I'm getting all angles. That's Rex done. Primed already in grace here, like I say, and then just I'm finishing them off just with a spray of Vallejo's matte white, just to try and get all the sort of white bits done, so then I only have to do the black parts of the armour, and then obviously the squad markings as well. I think it's 501st and 212th. I wasn't a huge fan of the Clone Wars cartoon series, but I've been watching it again recently and actually starting to really enjoy it. I much prefer Rebels, to be fair. Rebels is where it's at for me. Really looking forward to the new Ahsoka program. Can't wait for that to come out. Although I think when it's released I'll actually be in America. So I'll be at Galaxy's Edge, which has been a long time dream to go to Florida. Can't wait. Really looking forward to it. And then get to go to Galaxy's Edge, build a lightsaber. Really looking forward to it. So just got Cody and there's another guy around there actually. I forgot I had another one. So Cody, and then I've got another clone trooper, and then I've got Obi-Wan to do. So like I say, apologies for the noise whilst I'm airbrushing as well. It's I've got to have the air pump. I'll show you in a minute. It's only a really small one. Like I say, it's only a really cheap set that I got off of Amazon. There you go, that's the air pump kit that I've got. It's really basic. It's a very cheap one, but it seems to do the job. I think Cody's just about done. There we go. That's Cody done, leave him to dry. Another one. One of Anakin's clones, no, Obi-Wan's clones. It's getting quite wet, the paint, it's quite runny. So just got to be really careful. Not to overdo things because I don't want it to run. So I'm just really trying to hit those highlights on him. really should make it easier to paint when I come to do the actual painting stage. It just means it's just a big job. I hate painting white, so obviously the airbrush is coming out alright. Always the way I manage to get more on myself than I generally do on the Mini. Okay, so we just got Obi-Wan to do. Now, Obi-Wan I've not attached to his base yet. For priming, I literally just, because he's got a few bits of scenery with him, with his base, so all I've done is blue tacked him at the moment. So there is a good chance that when I spray him in a second, that actually he's just going to fall over. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen, and I think I've got just enough prime. I keep calling it primer, it's not primer, they're primed already. Hopefully there's enough paint still in it. That means I can get good coverage. With Obi-Wan, he's only got a few bits of clone armour on, but god damn it, but you just want to make sure you really hit them. Knocking you for 6. Quite clumsy. Let's move those guys out of the way. Sorry about that. The other good thing with doing Obi-Wan this way is that it gives the lightsaber a coat of white, which means when I add the blue to the blade, it will really sort of pop through, which will look really good, hopefully. Because he's so detailed, I really don't want to clog anything up. It's looking really cool. It's got a nice coverage on him. Again, it's just not too much, and it's not obscuring any detail, so fingers crossed when it dries it should be a really nice smooth coat, which should take the paint really well. Okay, right, I've got a lot of cleaning up to do now. I've got to go and clean the airbrush out. It's getting quite late here as well. It's getting on for, what's the time now? Just gone sort of 11:15, I think. So I'll finish it here. But I will do some more videos, some more streams, generally when I'm at the painting table, and I might sort of live stream some of the painting, some of these amazing miniatures for Star Wars Shatterpoint. Hope you enjoyed, and yeah, any questions, give me a shout, give me a follow on Twitter. If you search for chinners_paints, or just search for Shatterpoint, you'll see me tweeting about it all the time. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.